Hello friends, and hello enemies. Today we are looking at another very unique Figma action figure. At first I thought this was part of their Table Museum line, but upon closer inspection of the packaging, it doesn't say Table Museum anywhere. He is a human anatomical model. You can see it in the promo images on the side there in the back. Basically just your standard like scientific anatomical model, but action figure-fied, which is cool if you're familiar with the Table Museum line, which once again, this doesn't seem to be that, but it's along the same line. They turn works of art into action figures. And I am under the opinion that an anatomical model is also a work of art. So it's just going to be a fun little action figure. Might be useful for artists. I don't know. Let's take a look at it and see. Razor blade just keeps getting rustier every day, and yet I still use it. So this is the kind of thing you would see in like a doctor's office, like the stereotypical model of all the muscles and everything. It looks like there's a built-in kind of backdrop or stand or something within the packaging. Let's see. Yeah, I guess if you were so inclined, you could punch this out and make a little stand for him. It looks like it's foldable. There's some perforations. I don't think that's necessary. We're not going to do that. But it is neat that that's been included. Something about this just makes you question your own mortality. I mean, there's no real question about it. We all have mortality. Unless you guys are keeping secrets from me. Are you really immortal vampires? I would like to know if you are. I can't really do anything about it, but it would be interesting information to have. One of my favorite aspects of Figma's is that you also get this bag. Always nice to have a bag included. You can just drop the accessories in that, label it if you want, and be on your way. The accessories are in this handy little plastic bag with different sections. We'll get to those in a minute. It looks like the only real accessory of note are our hands. We've got a stand and stuff too. He's very gross looking. That's the point. I'm gonna go ahead and get the stand out because his feet are very small. They do have some articulation, but it is hard to stand him up just on his own. So it's time to bust out the razor blade again. Will I hurt myself? It's always 50-50 chance. I know you guys are just waiting for the day I mess up and bleed my own blood. I'm pretty clumsy, so the odds are it'll happen one day. If you notice, we've discussed this before on this channel, my fingernails never grow well unless I'm sick. And I'm sick again, so you can tell they're kind of growing out. It's very weird. Alright, you've got this acrylic rod part that plugs into the stand here. It articulates a bit, and then you plug this little piece into the back of him. And I don't normally like to do this. I usually like to have my figures freestanding, if at all possible, but sometimes it's not possible. You gotta swallow your pride and just attach it to that stand. We're all human here, and who better to remind us of that than this guy. He's got these like drop down shoulders that were already dropped down when I opened him up. They look a little awkward. I don't know what method they use to reproduce the red muscle look, but it's very visceral. It's a little bit translucent. You can definitely tell there are layers to it. It's a bit striated in some places. So for some of the more subtle musculature, you have paint applications instead of sculpting. So while I've studied human anatomy just for art purposes, I'm not an expert on it by a long shot. So I can't tell you how accurate this is, but it looks right to me. I mean, even if it's not completely accurate to an actual human being, it looks like an anatomical model, which was the point. You've even got this gnarly section under here where the ribs loop around under the shoulder blade. Ugh. Some of the Table Museum stuff we look at is a little bit limited just because it's, you know, art pieces, especially stuff like the Scream. There's not much you can do with that, but this guy is a whole human, so I assume you can get some good movement out of him. He's got an articulated head and neck. I like the neck movement. I like whenever they have neck articulation in figures. I feel like it adds a lot. His head doesn't like to go up or down much, though, because the neck is so thick. So yeah, we've got these drop down shoulders and they want to stay dropped down. So you've got the drop up and down. You've got, of course, rotation with that dumbbell. You've got these really nifty elbow joints that I like quite a lot on Figma figures. And those rotate also. And rotating hand. Go up and down on that on the correct axis. You get some twist in the torso, not much. Feels like it's stuck a little bit. I don't want to force it. But you get a lot of twist at the waist. This part here is an overlay. I don't know how well he's going to do in the leg department. His leg goes up pretty far. Let's see. His leg will go out to the side, but you kind of have to warp this butt piece for him to do it. And it looks a little awkward, but his leg will go out that far behind him. Then you've got to kind of like hook the leg piece back into this pelvis piece. You've got a chunkier version of the elbow joint right here. It has a little twist, not that much. I don't even know if that's purposeful or just rocking within the limitation of the joint, you know? Up and down on the foot. A little wiggle, and then a toe joint. Pretty basic articulation for the anatomical man. I know his face is just how anatomical models are, but I really do like his expression. Just looks in disbelief. These hand joints are pretty small. I can definitely see them breaking easily. We get another joint, just one, so still be careful. And you know, I've had a bit of an evening. I just saw a stray cat devour an entire rat, the whole rat. Just ate the entire rat. I've never seen such a thing in my life. The sight of this visceral flaying of a human being is really grossing me out a little bit, so let's cover him up, shall we? We want our man to be a little more modest. Oh my goodness, he's beautiful. It is a little large on him, but I didn't know his size. I think he's grateful despite. Just needs a little tailoring. Pinch it in the back a little bit, maybe get rid of this oversized bow, and that would look really good on him. So let's take a look at the hands. Another thing I like about Figma is they have these hand stands. These serve two purposes. One is to keep the hole from shrinking, so that way it's the appropriate size when you slide it onto the joint. Another is that you just have like a nice little stand to organize all your hands that are not currently in use. So you've got relaxed palms, pointing fingers, gripping hand, and a fist. He doesn't come with anything for the gripping hand to hold, and it kind of depends on the scale of the accessory, what he's going to be able to hold. I've got this little bottle. You might be able to hold it by the neck. Yeah, the only real way to get him to hold it is like this. But yeah, it's going to have to be pretty small accessories that fit into this hand, because these are pretty small figures. As you can see, he doesn't really scale that well with figures like Mezco or Hasbro, but he fits in pretty well with the Fwoosh Yokai skeleton. Maybe a little small comparatively, but not egregiously so. And here's what happens when you put him beside other Figma figures. These are from the Table Museum line proper. So you've got the Scream and you've got Easter Island Head. So their scales are more in line, but they're not quite as human shaped as he is. So that is my quick review of the Figma Anatomical male model. It's a fun little figure. I think it could be useful for artists. I think I have one of their figures that is specifically for artists. It's like just a plain black featureless figure. I think that was Figma. I'm not sure. But yeah, there are some companies that have just these featureless figures that are very posable that you can use for art reference, things like that. He is not that posable. He's like okay, but for an artist reference where you're not just focusing on anatomy, I would want to get something a little bit more posable than that. Still, he's very cool if you can stomach the exposed muscle. Another short review today. I don't mean to keep doing these short reviews, but that's just what's happened. There'll be another chunky review at some point. As always, likes and subscribes are very much appreciated. Comments are more than welcome. I'll see you guys on the next one.